Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Bello. I'm a rising junior at Eastlands. Today I'll be presenting my video on prison abolition, a movement which seeks to remove the prison as the catch-all solution to societal issues. In my video, I'll also be introducing a new criminal justice alternative, which is called Transformative justice. Before I begin explaining my project's why and what, I would like to bring attention to my mentor. I can't see her, but it's Anaya Leon. For the past 5 months of her direction and advice. My bi-weekly meetings with her were like a must in completing this project, and she was dedicated to making sure that I got what I needed to complete it and make sure the USA. So can we just do a clap for this? I would like to thank my family for continued support and interest in my project. Their interest propelled my own learning of my prison abolition and encouraged me to learn more about it. So thank you to you. I would just like to provide a caveat about myself. I'm by no means an expert on prison abolition, but I'm just sharing what I learned as a student of it so far. I chose this topic because I think prisons reinforce the idea of superiority, not just inside of it, but that citizens remove the context of how someone becomes a criminal assumes that the system is correct and subject these people to these conditions. It established the idea that we are more better, more moral, more lawful than a select majority of individuals, without considering that antisocial behavior is the product of an unjust world. Almost justifying the injustice that others face, it almost becomes natural to shame instead of feeling for others. I believe that the only way of achieving social justice is if and only if that we consider that love is what separates us from those experiencing violence from the state. I remember speaking about being able to speak with conviction, especially when it comes to advocating. Since my parents worked incredibly hard to pave their way in this country, I want to be able to give a platform to those who don't have the same privileges we've been given. So with that, I would like to introduce you to the video essay. Please enjoy. Thank you for listening.
In American culture and society, through policies of control, surveillance, and unfreedom, the prison becomes a mainstay in daily life. And not only refers to our prisons, detention centers, or prison as institutions, but also how these institutions treat our daily life, reinforcing the masters of white colonialism in our day-to-day lives. Criminalization is a common example of how the cultural state can control and restrain society without actually incarcerating individuals. Most importantly, the carceral state grants the state control over defining public safety and crime and destructing it. And because the United States of America was founded with a racist gaze, people of color are most often considered threats to society. People of color are described as the imaginations of colonizers, concentrating oppression into these communities, forging the carceral state as we know today. In the book, Our Rivers Obsolete, esteemed activist Angela Davis writes, after the abolition of slavery, former slave states passed new legislation revising the slave codes in order to regulate the behavior of free blacks in ways similar to those that existed during slavery. The new black codes prescribed a range of actions such as vagrancy, actions from birth, breach of job contracts, possession of firearms, resulting gestures or acts that were penalized only when the person charged was black. A certain lawlessness for whites would be established who would then abuse this lawlessness when egregious crimes were committed. The black codes attribute blackness to crime, the consequence being that the majority of the conflicts in some states were black folks. Once the public would judge black folks as true criminals of the South, that these crimes were only natural. A popular example of this would be mass incarceration, in which politicians reform law enforcement to restore social issues such as substance abuse, mental illness, shootings, etc., causing mass arrests of people of color. The myth of black criminality continues to restore white supremacy, organizing black folks as a criminal class are those worthy of suspicion, thus reinforcing the carceral state's involvement in control and violence in these communities. Rather than practicing harm reduction solutions, the connection between justice and punishment was so natural to the extent that we rarely examine whether the victims of the crime were the first take 6 years violence. The retributive approaches of the carceral state not only reduce violence but maintain the foundations of violence, not involve deterring crime or protecting the safety of the public, but rather ignoring the negative effects of punishment on innocent or collateral damage. Instead of controlling the transgressor's wrongdoing, the victim transfers all that power to the state. While this might seem like the appropriate solution to issues like vigilantism and disproportionate punishment, it also assumes that the state has always spoken on behalf of the whole community. Community approaches must be considered to abolish the prison. Justice can be brought upon by other means other than punishment. Prison abolitionists argue that it should always be embraced by abuse, but strict policing cannot be the solution to this problem. Often, the social conditions of abuse might aggravate if police intervene, especially in communities where welfare programs might not be available. Instead of unearthing substitutes for prison, an abolitionist would imagine alternative policies. For example, a framework centered on reconciliation and accountability would be established, without the exaggerated dependence on the prison. Angela Davis argues that the most effective abolitionist strategies will contest these relationships and propose alternatives that hold them apart. Rather than finding absolute replacements for prison, an abolitionist will imagine alternatives to imprisonment with its abolition as the overarching goal. Demilitarization of schools, a health care system that provides free physical and mental care to all, the justice system based on reconciliation rather than retribution. Many communities choose not to call the police because of their own convictions of the carceral state, such as a fear of deportation and state-sanctioned violence. In my research, I've come across transformative justice, which focuses on addressing structures of harm that can create cycles of generational abuse. Transformative justice tends to remove the state from intervening in abusive conflicts. Also, it understands that these structures of harm like capitalism, mass incarceration, misogyny, etc., often amass to fundamentally mutate our relationship dynamics. In other words, we internalize the environment around us, changing how we interact with each other. Transformative justice models a criminal system which places the victim at the center of the issues and asks, what will it take to transform the conditions of abuse? The carceral state is an application of prison in American culture and society. The policies of control, surveillance, and freedom.
Okay, so what I think, thank you for coming on the scene, and that was our presentation.